I was totally floored because I'd never seen anything that related in the slightest way to that subject. And I just couldn't remember. I just kept shaking my head throughout his entire presentation. The brother was quite eloquent, and him and Dr. Clark are some of my favorite speakers, and they speak in such a manner that it's almost like poetry when they talk. And it's just amazing. And you never tire of hearing them speak. And he kept saying things, and every now and then he'll stop, and he would say, "Nothing ever stopped the Egyptians." You know, they did this, they did that, they did that. Nothing stopped the Egyptians. That was one of his favorite words. So, in the process of this presentation, you see why he said those words. So, I always approach things from my own background. Culture, architecture are related, and most people don't really see it that way because most people weren't raised the way I was. And in the ancient world, they use a process that they call organic architecture. So architecture is a reflection of the environment that the people live in. It's a reflection of the people themselves. And so when they begin to build, they build a tradition of all those aspects that they see in their daily lives. And so one of the things I look at when I look at ancient civilizations is I look at the philosophical aspects that are current in the architecture. And so that's one of the things I will discuss as part of this presentation. And you know, I grew up in South Central LA and East Side, and I was a terrible student in the 3rd grade. I flunked the 3rd grade, and I still remember her name, Miss Redmond. They tried to keep me back again to 7th, so that was incorrigible. Yeah, keep that right. Yeah, keep it right there. I'll be over there. And so I was walking to a little bookstore. I walked into a little bookstore going to play basketball at USC. Well, I was probably about 14. And me and some friends, just dribbling the ball down the street, you know how kids do. And we walked to this little bookstore on Dr. King, which is called Santa Barbara at that time. And it was called the Aquarium Bookstore. And in that bookstore, I found a small book called Malcolm X, called Malcolm X on Afro-American History. And I didn't know anything about anybody else in the bookstore, but I did remember Malcolm X, because I shined shoes on 51st and Central from 9 to about 13. I had a lot of conversation about Malcolm X and Black Panthers and all that stuff. Barbershop is one of the best places to learn something. So I bought that little book, Malcolm X, and it had information about great civilizations in Africa, Nubia, Kemet, Egypt, Mali, Songhai. And I was like, man, you know, nobody ever told me about these great black civilizations. Read the whole book. Then I went back and I began to buy everything I could find on Malcolm. I read all of Malcolm's books, all of his teachings. Started reading everything I could find on the 60s, on Angela Davis, Stokely Carmichael, you know, you name Dr. King. I read all his books, Why We Can't Wait, all of his papers. And I just began to read books on black people, Booker T. Washington, anything I could read that was interesting, I read it, and I began to elevate myself. And so by the time I left, I was a student at Fauché Junior High School, the same junior high school that Tookie Williams of the Crips went to. Yeah. And Norman Elementary School, the same elementary school that Tookie Williams went to. And it was Harlem Crips, the Brims, half of them went to school with me. You know, so when I came into light, began to transform myself and went to Crenshaw High School, which was the 2nd most populated Crip school in the city outside of Washington High School. And I was able to maintain myself in a way that I ended up being an honor student when I left Crenshaw. So they were like, in fact, I remember the girl saying, how the hell did he get up in the honor section? And, I remember I walked around Crenshaw with a briefcase full of Malcolm. And at my first 10-year reunion, a brother came running over to me, it was John Van Dorn. Ran over to me and almost knocked me over. He said, brother, I'm so glad to see you, brother, because I remember in high school you used to talk that black stuff to me, and you helped me out with my math, and I'm a physician now, I'm a doctor now.
Wow.
And so then that's when I realized that the stuff. That's when you realize the things that you bother to take time when it relates to something that's important, that you see it as being something greater than yourself. That's the reward when children or kids or elders come to you and they say things like that. And I've had a lot of that over the years. So this man right here, Ivan Van Sterling, is the reason I do this. I started my first trip to Mexico in pursuit of this was in 1986. In 85, I was in Egypt. 86, I was in Mexico. 87, I was back in Egypt at an international conference where over 1,000 black people came down with the idea of rescuing, reconstructing the history of black people as it relates to the Nile Valley. Went back to Mexico the next several years before going back to Kemet again. So my beginnings, when I saw the pyramids in Egypt, in Kemet, I said, I got to go see what they got down there in Mexico. So can we get these lights? And then we'll just kind of...